And I don't know where Miss Andy is, but she's welcome to join us tonight as well. Since Molly doesn't do panels, so otherwise, she'd be possibly in there too. But either way, so let's see who we got joining us for the spooky stuff tonight. Looks like Leslie and Billy. Always a pleasure to see you, Miss Leslie. Thank you so very much. Our whip, welcome back. Quintine, what's going on with you? Good to see you tonight. Allison White, welcome back to you. Steven's Adventures, hello, my friend. Karam and Chaos with Keisha, hello, 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 hello. Let me fix something. It's a little bit loud. There we go. And let's see. You're in here twice, Allison. Yes, you are. Okay. Alicia J, welcome back to you. Good to see you tonight. Miss B. Williams, hello and welcome back. Glitter is forever. Hello to you. Miss Sherry, Wisdom Speaks is in the house. And don't forget to hit that like, guys. See something, say something. How are ya? How are ya? Miss Diana R, welcome back to you. Great to see you tonight. Snowflake's Nightmare. Hello, hello. Great to see you again. Genealogy Gypsy, Miss Cynthia, thank you for joining us. And HGG, hello to you. Thank you for joining us. Miss Claire, hello to you. Welcome back. Let's see here. DS, hello and welcome. Good to see you tonight. I got T-Rev 757 said he came out of the closet today. All right, there you go. Obviously, we got a troll in here. That's okay.
Yeah, he's been in here twice. He said something really nasty earlier, so that was his first kick out.
I saw it. I guess Mom don't want to hang with us tonight. She must not like me no more.
No, she was
not sure.
I know. She's sitting up here on the panel with us. I was just teasing her.
My child just called. My youngest one that never calls.
Her youngest child called. Yeah,
well,
that's awesome. That's why she hung up on me.
Well, I hope you didn't get off the phone for him off the home. Yeah, for the summer though. Yeah, let's do that again.
Dago's been in my gummies.
Oh, he's trying. Has he?
I said, I hope you didn't get off the phone with him for me. Is what I was saying. Sorry.
Oh no. I was trying to avert a crisis. He lives in the mountains, and the person that's supposed to come and pick him up, they went camping up in the Smokies, and I've been worried to death about him for 2 days. Because there's bear in them hills.
He's okay though, right?
And well, yeah, he called, so I was like, "Oh my God, he called! They're back!" Because I've been stalking their Facebooks and everything to see if they're active.
Gotcha, I got you. It makes sense. I'd be doing the same thing.
She got bit by some kind of, I guess it was a spider on her back, and now she's running a fever and.
Oh shit!
Yeah, my daughter-in-law. So he called, "Mom, what do I do? Go to that damn hospital. She's got a fever and she's talking crazy." I said, "You need to go to the hospital." It could have been a black widow. It could have been a brown recluse, Hold
on.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Thank you, Leslie at Billy. I was worried to death. I saw the phone. And I thought, oh, yay, he called.
Are they still in the mountains?
No, they're home now.
Well, how long have they been home?
Not very long, just a few hours. And I guess that's when she had been itching or whatever, and she had laid down. And when she went to get up, she's running like a super high fever.
Are they on the way to the hospital now?
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yep. Yeah, he called, "What do I do?" I said, "Call your grandpa. Call your grandpa and tell your grandpa to come get y'all and take y'all to the damn hospital." I was very happy to hear from them, Leslie. Very happy, because I was worried to death. I do too much true crime for them to be staying up in them damn mountains.
See, but boy moms would even have to go take her to the hospital.
Yeah,
moms
it is.
Boys go to the hospital.
I told him, I said, "Man, I wish I was there. I'd take you, but I can't just drive 12 hours to take you."
Was?
No, he just said, "Mom, it's extremely high." And she's a little tiny thing. Hi, Butterfly. Hi, Wisdom. She's a little tiny thing.
Well, I hope she didn't like. When I had my bite, I went to get help quick. I got on antibiotics and the steroids real quick, but it got nasty over 24 hours, and I'm talking nasty. Like it looked like a deformed, nasty, weird looking nipple or something. It was crazy, and it was about that big around, folks, on my thigh, and it swelled up about that big quick. So
yeah, he said it looks bad.
As it,
I'm all the way down here.
Did it start
to get bit?
Did it start to necrotize at all? Did he say like the skin looks like it's dying off?
He didn't say. He's freaking out. He didn't say. He was freaking out. Mom, I don't know what to do. What do I do? Take her to the hospital.
That's the best thing you can do right there. And as fast as you can, because sometimes them spiders, depending on what it is, it don't take long.
Does he know when she got bit?
No, because they've been camping.
Oh, sure.
When did it start to bother her?
Right before they come home today. And they took about a 2-hour nap when they got home. And was supposed to send me a bunch of pictures. Because when they was leaving the mountain, she had texted me and said, I'm going to send you a bunch of pictures, Mom. And that's why I want to know when y'all get home. Not when you're coming off the mountain. I want to know when you hit the front door.
It didn't bother her after she got home or right before she got home?
No, he said she just didn't feel good. And she said, I'm going to go lay down for a couple hours. And I thought, well, that you can't, you know what I mean? When you camp like that, you don't sleep good, especially in the mountains where there's bears and mountains. Yeah.
By the way, thank you for joining me, Mom.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me. Sorry, I was late.
No, God, no. Don't ever apologize for that.
I sure don't thank me for joining you. I'll just sit over here in the corner like nothing. I'm just going to sit over here like nothing.
You should make you sleep. They may have big gross. Well, that's good to know. Thank you, Glitter.
There are 3 new species of spiders that have been discovered in the Smoky Mountains recently, though. Nesticus. Jesus, I hate when they put the scientific name. Yeah. Dacamane. Nesticus dacamane is the one. Ooh, good God, that's nasty. And the Nesticus benfordae. Dr. Greta Benford found that one. And the Nesticus cherokeensis. They're all nasty looking spiders. And ew.
And they was tent camping too. That worries me.
How long were they there?
They've been there since Monday. They left out Monday morning because they texted me and said, hey, we're heading out to camp. And of course, I went through the whole spiel. You know what I mean? I really wish you guys wouldn't do this. There's crazy people. There's bears. There's
of course
mountain lions. And it's a state park, so you can't have any kind of weapons in Kentucky in a state park.
Did he respond to you?
No, not yet.
I want to see what this looks like. It's on her back, you said, or her shoulder?
Mm-hmm. He ain't responded yet. They might be on the way to the hospital.
Oh, Leslie, I had a cherry lime. So, cherry. I don't even remember. That's really good. They're kicking it. Cherry limeade or something like that. I think.
What happened? Was listening to ERT and then all of a sudden tons of noise. Looked out and saw a truck speeding off and 2 kids running the opposite direction. What are you talking about? That happened on her show or in your neighborhood?
Oh.
Yeah, you're not going to typically find a brown recluse like out in nature. Not typical. It does happen, but not as often. They're typically inside in like a dark, hidden area. Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't know much about spiders. I don't do spiders. That just first thing that went to my head was the nastiest one I could think about.
That was at Tomboy's house. She had said earlier. So had a pew pew situation over her back.
70 some casings next to the fence. What the hell is going on? Hey, y'all had a little pew pew action going on right next to your backside fence. Are you okay? 70 casings by the fence behind you? Good God, Tomboy. Are you all right? I swear to God. I'm so tired of hearing all this crazy shit happening. As long as you're safe, that's what matters. But shit.
I have decompressed and let the
Well, we're doing that tonight.
no, I've decompressed. I've decompressed all day and let the full moon just let the energy of the full moon just engulf me.
After the show I had, I'm gonna decompress. I was highly pissed off, which is why I had the show I had. I saw and heard some things today that pissed me off that I could have never imagined seeing or hearing.
Well,
it was just not right. But anyway, it's done. It's over. I did it. I'm out of it. So maybe you need to look into moving, Tomboy. If that's twice that's happened now, like that ain't cool. Or the last street and the next to a field, so exchanges 10. Okay. Well, I know you're down in Texas. I don't know exactly where, but
spotted fever.
That's what I was saying, Sherry. That's why I said that. She's right, Mom. A tick from the Rocky Mountains can cause spotted fever infection, and that's why I said to check for a tick first.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and hopefully it didn't.
Now I'm sitting here staring at my phone.
Right. I wish it, as long as it, hopefully it didn't embed itself in her back, because that's what they have a tendency to do, and that's where it gets to be a problem.
No, I'm good right now, Butterfly. I'm just chill. I'm just totally chill tonight. I just decompressed all day.
It's okay. We always bring a pillow and a blanket for Kimber now, because she has a tendency to go to bed while she's here. So we just make her comfortable. And when we're done, we're done.
It could be a deer tick too, because I think deer ticks will cause some issues.
Here's the thing: if she had a deer tick, it would have puffed up it looks like a bubble, and they put their head inside, and the back of them sticks out like a bubble as they inject with the blood. You'd have seen that. I pull those off my cats all the time.
Well, we don't know if it didn't. We don't have a picture of the situation.
No, and when I had him on the phone, I was freaking out so bad and trying to brainstorm.
Cassie, I'm not going. Oh, Cassie's laughing. She said laugh. She put laughy faces. So I was like, I'm not going anywhere.
Well, calm down, Mom. I'm sure it'll be all right. I can tell by looking at your face that you're upset.
That's my baby.
I understand.
That's your baby. I don't think we're probably helping anymore. Going Rocky Mountain spotted fever. There's 300.
I'm trying
to
help.
I appreciate y'all caring. I appreciate y'all caring.
We're going. There's 300 species and there's 2 new nasty spiders.
I'm gonna venture to say, because I was looking at what typically happens in the Rockies or the Smokies this type of year, and it's usually tick bites is what a lot of people are complaining about. So I don't know what their situation was, how they camped. They
went camping in a tent.
Yeah.
I didn't like that to start with.
Well, here's the thing: is ticks drop out of trees and things like that. So it's not your fault per se.
Yeah, but she's never been camping, so there ain't no telling. They probably went down trails, and which he's country. He's grown in the country, and she's Dominican, so she had never seen nothing like the mountains up there.
I got you. Well, I'm just going to stay positive, and she'll be all right. They'll figure it out and get her on some antibiotics, and that's that.
That's what I told him. I said, get her to the hospital, and they'll give her antibiotics. They'll check her. They'll get that fever down, but take her now. Don't wait.
How long have they been home, Mom?
A couple of hours.
Okay, so this has just only been okay. Mm-hmm. They're going, but see, I ain't trying to scare you, so calm down. He's okay. It's her though. The thing is that for it to kick in that fast, I don't know exactly when she was bit by what she was bit by, but
Yeah, I
they
don't
caught
either.
it. It seems to be when she first starts getting symptoms, they caught it. That's good. I got no symptoms from what I got bit by, which was great, other than the nastiness of the bite. She's in the right place. They'll get her going. I know it's hard for them. Well, I'll say this much to deal with it. If you don't know what you got bit by, that's a little harder. But they'll treat it as they treat it, and they'll get her on something. So
Yeah, that's what I told you.
Cassie,
I
mom,
tried to be strong with him. Like, get her to the hospital. They'll do, And then after I got off the phone, I was sitting here panicking.
that's what mothers do.
Cassie, mom's daughter-in-law has a tick, possibly a tick bite. We're not sure. They just got back from camping.
She didn't even feel the bite though. Like know that anything happened.
I didn't talk to her. I could hear her in the background, but I talked to him.
She just said she didn't feel good. Nothing else has happened.
She didn't feel good, was running a fever, and just didn't feel right. Like she just didn't feel right.
Okay. And they were up there for, you said, a week?
Mm-hmm. So they would have noticed it before now.
7 days, 5 days?
They went up there Monday morning.
Okay. I got you. So we're 5 days in.
Not tonight, Tomboy. I'm not having one. I just had 2 gummies, so.
I'm chugging coffee.
That's why Cassie said good night, Kimber.
If I have 2 gummies and wine, I'm done. I am done.
Thank you, Liz.
You're not supposed to cross them things there, Kimber.
If I have 2 gummies and wine, I'm in there cooking bacon and eggs, and then I'm out. Boom.
Yeah, you're right, twin thing. It could have been in her clothes.
That's what I mean. They get inside your shirt, or whatever.
And our whip, he didn't say that she was confused, just that she was running a high fever and didn't feel right.
Did they say how high the fever was?
No, he didn't say how high it was. He just said, Mom, it's extremely high. I'm like,
oh, shit. Okay.
Trying to be calm and talk to him and, brainstorm.
Okay.
Because of course they ain't got no car right now.
Did he call an ambulance or how'd they get going?
He called my dad. My dad's gonna go there and get him.
Okay.
I told him, I was like, because I can't drive 12 hours. I'll keep you guys updated as soon as I hear something back from him. Which, where he's at, his signal's probably in and out if they're on the road to the hospital.
Yeah, because he's up there in Kentucky.
Yeah, they're in the damn hills too.
They in Richmond?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you just say, Kimber?
I said they're in Kentucky.
You're feeling them gummies now, ain't you? Yeah.
She got the boom higher gum.
So what are we studying tonight?
Hold on 1 second. So some insect and spider bites or stings can cause flu-like symptoms to develop within hours of a bite or sting. Symptoms may be delayed for up to 3 weeks. Shit, that scares me now. Flu-like symptoms include fever, shaking, chills, muscle or joint aches, headaches, swollen glands, and a vague feeling of illness, malaise, which is what she basically described. So it could be a little bit of whatever, you know what I mean? The thing is they're going to get her an IV first, which will help to flush her system. Antibiotic, probably a steroid to build her system up to fight whatever it is, and maybe possibly an anti-venom. If they can tell by what the bite looks like, sometimes you can. And if they happen to find that it's a tick that's in there, they'll do what they got to do, but she'll be all right. If she's going to the hospital, and she's going to be good. Just keep positive and calm yourself down. I've never seen your face. Your eyeballs are like telling a whole story by themselves. Just saying.
I worry about her.
I get it. I get it. I did it.
She had a little bitty
Oh
tiny they go, and I'm just worried to death about her.
no, I
They're cute as
understand.
yep. He's 7 foot tall, and she don't come up to my chest. She's a little tiny thing. Yeah, you're right, Leslie. He should be. He's amazing. You guys are all awesome. Thank you so much for the love and the support. I love our community.
No,
I
I
am.
just I I shouldn't be a doctor, but I did EMS and fire for a long time, and was raised in a family with a medical background. My mother was a nurse. My aunt, my sister, my wife, my father, my stepfather, I should say, is a surgical tech, or was. I mean, so my whole family's been in the medical field, and you learn these things as you grow. And then I got in it myself, so it's nice to have this knowledge, I should say, for this reason here. I love helping people in any way I can. So
I sure appreciate it because being all the way down here, it's hard. You know what I mean? Because if I was there, it'd be totally different.
I get it, and it drives you nuts because you can't be there because you want to be there to help with everything. I understand,
It
and
does. It drives me.
that's your personality, even without being a mother. That's your personality. So,
And this is one, I don't ever hear from him. I don't, not that in a bad way, you know what I'm saying? But he don't call unless it's a mom moment.
no, that's what he did. He needed his mom to help him. I get it.
There's my doodle bug. She brought me cake.
Doodle.
That duty.
She brought the cake.
So tonight, just because you asked, we're covering a Molly and Andy put together. There was a movie put out. I think it was The Conjuring 3 or something like that, but it was based off of the Ed and Lorraine Warren story where they covered the. It was called The Devil Made Me Do It. David Gatzel, Arnie Johnson were involved in the story about him being possessed. So we're going to look into that tonight. It's based off a true story, of course. Nothing but the real deal stuff, folks. I don't like the fake stuff because it's fake. It ain't real. It ain't no fun. It ain't interesting. So I'm definitely not a doctor, B. That's facts. But I thought you were going to say I'm not a doctor, but I did stay. I should have said that. I should have said that. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express. Or I'm not a doctor, but I play one on television. But that's what we're covering. I hope you guys are interested in this. You should be after the fact. I hope everybody's all right. Some people get scared by this stuff. Some people don't. I appreciate you joining me, Mom and Kimber, for sure.
That's my jam.
I invited Andy up here, but she's probably sleeping or something.
Thank you, Wisdom. You're awesome. You guys rock.
Absolutely. Anything we can ever do to help. That's what this family's all about and always will be. So, and you're definitely part of the family, Mom. So please know we're all here in any way, shape, or form we can be. It may not help at all, but at least we mean well.
Hey, I appreciate it.
But just try to think positive. We're going to get your mind off it here in a minute. Well, partially because I know better with you, but
yeah, I've got my phone right here so I can watch it when it goes on.
Exactly. Thank you guys all for joining me. It looks like I got a few extra peeps in here. Molly and Twin Thang, Tomboy. Did I say even who was in here yet? Did I do that already? Okay. Lost my mind thinking about this. See, I'm even worried about it for you. So
thank you.
Of course. Of course.
She kind of stole my heart, man. Because, like I said, I'm not too keen on women with my boys. I'm one of those moms,
I get it.
And she absolutely just stole my heart. She's cute as button, and her story is just phenomenal. So, fell in love with her.
Understand. I do understand. Mikey! Oh, my goodness. What's up, brother? Good to see you tonight. On the mic in the house. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Great to have you here. Mama Bear's gonna be mad. She said she missed you and ain't seen you in a while. It's great to see you, bro.
She didn't
So,
go to bed?
oh yeah, Mama Bear has to go to bed like early. She takes medications because she's got real deal narcolepsy, and if she don't, then well, it just don't work out for you. So, all right, guys, let me get this stuff together for you.
Hi, Paula.
Welcome, Miss Paula. Let's see here. All right, thank you, Molly. Where is? Oh, good lord, forgot how to run a damn computer for a minute. Let's see. Wow. Okay, Mr. Jesse, good to see you. Any updates on the top secret work camps on the moon that Ruler was? No, sir, Jesse, nothing there, bruh. Brother, nothing at all. Juju Bones, good to see you. I think that was Rolo. Okay, so I was sitting here. My granddaughter's here with my mother-in-law. They're in 2 rooms away from me, okay? And I felt somebody tap me twice on my arm like this. I don't know if you guys saw me looking and turning like this and stuff, looking to see if my granddaughter was standing in here because it felt like little hand tapping me twice. And then I ignored it the first time. The second time, it happened again twice. And I'm looking again. What's going on? That's a little weird. Never had that one happen. Miss Willow, good to see you. Seriously, it was just like this. And that's the thing, is it happened twice. The first time is when I went like this to touch myself, see what the hell was there. Second time is when I looked again. And you can tell that it freaked me out, guys. So, and I turned and I looked, and she's nowhere to be found because it felt like her little hand. That's weird. Very weird. Wow. We may do it tonight, SRB. I had to catch up on some stuff. You know, I was just thinking that too, Iris. Maybe it was like a muscle spasm or something, but it felt like it came from the outside, not the inside. That's the weird thing. Mom, they're just saying hello, Molly said. Yeah, okay. Well, that was creepy and weird at the same time. Very weird. Either way. See, now she comes in, runs into the kitchen from the living room. She was in there that whole time. Did not come in here. Thank you very much, Zelda. I can't, you guys. It weirded me out. See, you see her? She walks from one room to the other. She's not in here, but that was strange. Either way, whoever that was, somebody else I know had that happen too. That happened like that. Pretty wild. It was not a melon head, Austin. What's up? Good to see you guys. All right, moving forward, let's check this. So that was my paranormal experience. That the only one I've ever had. Thank you, Miss Zelda, for gifting that membership, and it looks like Vicky Harrison was gifted. Guys, make sure you have that opened up to receive memberships because once a month, creators receive. Oh, maybe not. I thought I had some. I'll be damned. Once a month, creators receive free memberships to hand out. So. Or maybe it's every 3 months, maybe. Yeah, that's right. So, Let me see if I can give back a little bit here myself, folks. And then we'll get moving on our story for tonight. Miss Vicky, welcome back to the sauce. It's wonderful to have you here. And again, I appreciate that so very much, Miss Delta. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. Mikey, it's great to see you, brother. I've missed you so very much. No lie. Is this going to work for me or not? God, there's some weird things happening here tonight. Is it the moon or what the hell? This house, like, I've had questions about this house, guys. I'll tell you if you want me to tell you the stories about this house, I can. If not, if you want to get started on what we're doing, you let me know.
What is the history of the house?
Interesting. It's an old ass house. It was built in I think it was 1901. I think, yeah, 1901.
Oh, she's a beautiful old girl.
Oh God, yeah, it's an old farmhouse. I loved it when I saw it. It's got all the old woodwork in it. There's been some like in this. This isn't it. This here is an addition that I'm in. From the dining room forward is all the original house. Very cool, very beautiful house. Like I said before, it's got a clawfoot tub in it. None of the stuff has been upgraded. It's all the original. That I think the vanity in the bathroom and the toilet were like upper. Besides that, the kitchen was completely upgraded. It used to have the double old-fashioned porcelain coated metal sinks. That's all gone. It had the cupboards that went to this from the ceiling to the counter. That old stuff that was all ripped out, and they put all new stuff in. I saw pictures of it before, but the original family that bought this, they built this house. It was a farm. My house and another house that's about 2 houses up from me were the only 2 houses in this entire area at that time, for a long time. Okay, and it was trees and farmland and these 2 houses. My property had a great big barn, a little barn, and excuse me, there's a shed back there that was at one point in time a chicken coop, and there was the garage I have now was not here, and it was all fields. And they had, my understanding is the family that lived here had cows. And then we had the river that ran down behind my house back here, which was dammed off up the road, and it turned into a swamp. Why are you making that smiley face, Mom?
Because you know what water is, don't you?
Of course. I know.
You're a paranormal investigator. I know you know what water is.
Of course I know. Yes.
That's what I was waiting for, is how close is the water?
It's right there. It's right there. I know.
Mm.
So, the family that built the house, built the farm, lived here till they died. One of them died in the home. The others died in the hospital, I believe. It was a family of 3, mother, father, and a son. And then the house was sold to another family. And they lived here forever. 2 of them died in the home. And then it was sold to somebody else. He had it for a while, and then he lost it to the bank. And then the guy that I'm attempting to buy it from, he got it. So it's only been a couple families, but a few people have died here. Thank you, Sari. I don't know if it was traumatic or not, because it doesn't seem like anything is dark here, if that makes any sense. Now, through the tree here, you can't see it because it's dark. I sit on that couch in there when I'm not on here, and I can see straight back here. Twice now this has happened to me, where I'm looking, and it's always at night, where I'm looking ahead. Right there is my kitchen and off of my dining room. Okay, sitting in there on that couch, I've been sitting here, and I'll look up and I'll see what looks like a shadow go from this room into my kitchen. around the bend. Just a shadow. Twice I've seen that. I get up, I go look, there's nothing there. Now I don't know if it's a shadow or if it's a blur of something, but you know what I'm trying to say? And twice now I've been sitting up there and I've seen something. I swear I've seen something walk past my window outside this these windows. There's 3 windows in front of me where I'm sitting right now against this wall. This is the back of the house at the addition here. So Caden has seen and heard things, he said. My wife has heard things, she said. My wife is what they call sensitive. She hears and sees everything if it's there. My dogs are weird. My old dog, this guy, Oscar, he died here. When we first moved in here, he was still healthy. He was all right. He was old, but he was 18 years old. He used to act really strange. Like we'd go to bed at night and we would hear him barking in the middle of the night. Like he's barking at something. You know what I'm saying? You know how dogs get ruff, 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 ruff like that. And I never could figure it out. I'm thinking, well, we got a mouse. We got something. Thank you, Miss Sherry. Get to the membership again. That went out to Ace's mama. Congratulations, Aces. Welcome to the sauce. And thank you again, Miss Sherry. That's so very awesome of you. And then he passed on. That was not this past May, but the May before. When we got Milo, the white dog that you see running around, we had him for about 3 months by himself. He does weird things. I think he's mentally handicapped personally, but that's okay. But he does strange things. Like he'll be sitting in the middle of the living room when we're in there, and he'll start going like this. I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm thinking, oh, he's chasing a fly. But my wife was like, it's February. There's no flies in here. So, and again, thank you, by the way. Thank you to anybody that has donated to these links here. I got a ding, so I imagine somebody did. Thank you very much for that. It is never expected from many of you guys. I promise you that, but we do appreciate it because it takes care and it pays for these bills to keep me coming. StreamYard, internet, all that stuff comes right out of that. So thank you so very much, guys. You guys are amazing. If you need the audio adjusted on any of this or anything, please let me know and I will do it.
Hello and welcome to an interview with the Warrens. I'm Krista Olson and I will be bringing you into some of the supernatural experiences of world-famous demonologist ghost hunters Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens live in the neighboring town of Monroe and have investigated many cases in the local New England area. Besides investigating, the Warrens also teach, write, and host programs on the supernatural. Ed Warren is the director of the New England Society for Psychic Research, and Lorraine Warren happens to be a gifted psychic whose ESP has been rated above normal at tests conducted at UCLA. Together, they have investigated over 3,000 supernatural phenomena, as well as over 40 exorcisms. Many of these cases have been conducted along with well-respected police departments, doctors, and clergymen. The Warrens' work has received worldwide attention, especially the Brookfield slaying case of 1981. Today we are going to discuss this case, and later we'll be discussing some ghostly photographs that the Warrens have brought along with them. Welcome to the program today, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
You did that very well, Krista.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. I'd like to begin by asking, what exactly is the Brookfield slaying case about?
Well, it has to do with the possession of an 11-year-old boy. We were called in on the case by a Roman Catholic priest who at that time was pastor of St. Joseph's Church in Brookfield. He had told us that we had his prayer support, but he was rather fearful of becoming any further involved in the case. He was getting ready to leave for Ireland with his mother and was fearful because of the fact that he had fallen victim as a result of exercising a home that he was called upon to exercise in New Fairfield through then Archbishop Curtis. And So he said, "You have my support, and I realize it is most likely a case of possession, but unfortunately I won't be able to work with you." Well, there were 6 Roman Catholic priests that worked with us. 3 of them were schooled and ordained in Rome. They were knowledgeable men in the areas of demonology, as well as their work in theology. We were called to this home where David Glatzel, a young 11-year-old boy, had come under diabolical possession. It all began to take place in a home that his sister and the sister's fiance were renting. They were going to be renting this house, and on the end of it was like an in-law apartment where Arnie Johnson's mother was going to be living with the 2 sisters. It was in that home that David first exhibited signs of possession. It was rather strange.
Thank you, Leslie. I got it, and we will take a look at it once we get through this. Thank you so much. There's Miss Andy. Andy, you have a link in Discord, hon, if you want to join us up here tonight. You're warm welcome to.
Strange and rather bizarre. What occurred was a bright afternoon, bright summer afternoon, and they were setting up things in the apartment, and Mrs. Glatzel, Judy Glatzel, was helping her son, or her daughter, and going to be son-in-law, in setting up the furniture and like that. Now, the previous occupants had left behind a waterbed, and kids are drawn to things like that, 11 years old especially, and they're jumping on the bed, jumping up and down on the bed, and the other children went in the other room. And as David went to get up off the bed, he described this man as appearing. You could see everything about the man, the plaid shirt that he was wearing, the jeans that he had on. Could see everything about him. He could describe everything about him. Now, David would find it very hard to articulate to that extent. David had a very slight learning disability, and usually children with learning disabilities find it very hard to articulate regarding seeing things in that type of perspective that he was explaining it in so much clarity. Now, he told his mother at this point that he wanted to go right home. And the mother said, "No, we're working, we're finishing off what we're going to be doing. We'll be going home in a little while." Well, he pouted, walked out of the house. He was frightened. And that night, in their home in Brookfield, it appeared again. Only when it appeared that night in the darkness of the evening, which is the psychic hours also of the night, which start at 9 o'clock and go till 6 o'clock in the morning. He described this man as appearing. Everything was exactly the same, except that he said the man looked burnt, and he had feet like a deer, which meant they were cloven. And from that
keep in mind that the man that she's talking about is a ghost. You know, there was no man there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we were to later find out that this was not even a ghost. It was a demonic spirit
that appeared to this child. That was really the introduction to his becoming a victim of diabolical possession. Now, we worked for months on this case. There were 3 exorcisms over David. They were very violent. The phenomena that occurred in the home was very, very violent. But the priests remained very steadfast in their dedication to the case.
And there were 7 Roman Catholic priests involved in that case. 3 of them schooled and trained in Rome itself, at the Vatican. We had psychiatrists, medical doctors. We had Catholic priests. We had psychic researchers staying there day and night. We had relatives. We had the family. We had photographs. We had recordings. We had police officers in there. We had all the evidence to prove in any court of law that this young boy was diabolically possessed, and the young man who helped him later Arnie Johnson, who was 18 years old and lived in the house, came under demonic possession. Any evidence that you could prove a case with in any court of law in the United States, we had, and the judge would not allow us to bring it in. If he did, Arnie Johnson would not have spent 2 or 3 years in prison.
But in this case, Krista, what had really happened is that there was a tragedy that had occurred. Now, the tragedy came about, we believe, and all the clergy involved believe. Now, Ed spoke of one extra priest. This one extra priest was a demonologist for the church. He also was going to be testifying. He also was able to get permission to testify, although he was not from this particular Catholic diocese. He was from another Connecticut diocese.
And keep in mind that this case, Krista, made international headlines.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody was waiting for this lawyer, Manella, and ourselves, and all the investigators and the priests to step into that courtroom and to bring our evidence. The very first morning, the judge said, "No way. We're not allowing the devil made me do it case in this courtroom," which was wrong, because the devil does exist. Many devils exist. And a skeptical public is the best protection that the devil has. Now, people can poo-poo the whole idea of ghosts and haunted houses and devils all they want. But look for the evidence. Look for the proof. And you know, Lorraine and I did set a precedent in 1990. We went into a court of law and we proved that a woman was driven out of her house with her small boy by ghosts. Now, you go in and you do that kind of stuff, Krista, and you've got some evidence. You've got to have evidence, you know. You're not going to go and say, "Oh, yeah,
The TV's supposed to do that, guys. It's a whole thing. I play that every Friday night when we do this. It's their Halloween or whatever you want to say backgrounds that do these things. So if it's bugging you guys, let me know. I'll shut it off.
Wait, while we're paused, how much did I miss? I'm sorry. I had to take Benadryl and it knocked me the hell out. I just woke up.
Well, by the luck of the draw, we just got started on this because I showed Molly sent the picture of when I had the ghost hand touch me on video.
Oh.
She sent that over, so we watched that first. But
okay, because I've got like a ton of notes. I watched some documentaries and wrote down a bunch of stuff. So
awesome. This came out September 9th of 2020, by the way. This video was released. The actual interview was done back I can't remember.
It's probably from like the 90s, I would say. The case happened in the early 80s.
Yep. 82, I think. But yeah, I'll find out.
I believe it was 81, and Arnie was, he was convicted in 81.
Yep. All right, moving forward. Awesome, and thank you again for joining us, Andy.
I'll try not to fall back asleep.
I did the TV thing and all this stuff. Everything else that happened, guys, I'm not putting that on, but this is part of it. It's Paranormal Friday. I'm trying to make it good for you guys. So,
I've seen a ghost flying around. What we want is hard evidence. And for the skeptics out there that say to us, there's no such thing that exists, it's ridiculous. Every great religion in the world today is based on a supernatural world that worships God. We call God by different names, maybe, but that's all right. It's the same God. And what we're proving here every day through our New England Society for Psychic Research is that God exists, and devils and ghosts and demons all exist. And we have the proof for that.
Now, do you know what exactly possessed the young boy?
Sure. Possession? Possession is the same thing as when you walk into your car and you drive that car away. You possess that car. You control it. When a spirit, either human or inhuman, invades your body, it takes over your body completely. You are possessed. Then the first stage is oppression. Very similar to an invisible being alongside of you and whispering thoughts into your head that you carry out. But when possession comes, you don't even know it's happening. It just happens to you.
No, I believe you were asking what possessed.
What's possessed?
What possessed David?
Right.
Or what devils possessed David. In fact, you know, up until about, maybe half the case was over with, even after Arnie Johnson had killed this young man while he was under possession, we had thought that there was one devil, which they called the beast, which everybody had seen, which was filmed, which was recorded, but there are actually 46 devils in that house. That's how powerful it was.
See, one attracts the other. So, I mean, one might weaken, but then the others just
take over.
Yes.
And keep in mind, you know, it wasn't the Warrens that knocked on the door and said, hey, is your son possessed? It was the Catholic Church, Father Dennis, who brought us in, called us up at 11 o'clock at night. We brought in a medical doctor with us, Dr. Giangrasso, who's medical examiner for Fairfield County. He examined the boy, and there was nothing happening to that young man that he would consider natural. It was very unnatural. And even while we were in the house, it was as though somebody took a 2x4 and was hitting the bottom of the floor underneath us.
That was like within the first 15 minutes that we entered the home that hot August night.
Possession is a very terrible thing. You would see an 11-year-old boy, he would be drawing, and all of a sudden he'd look up and that little boy wasn't there no more. What you seen was a monstrosity. This was a very powerful entity that was invading this boy's body to begin with. It would take 4 and 5 full-grown men to hold him down. And as I said, you know, it's not hearsay, it's not a ghost story. This was the real thing. Possession is rare, but not as rare as many people think.
But in this case, people are going to ask, well, how did Arnie Johnson become possessed as a result of David? It certainly isn't a contagious thing. But you see, he had challenged what was there. In his great compassion for this young boy, he would say, take me on. I'm stronger than he is. Leave my buddy alone. And that was
they took him
very,
on.
Very foolish.
You know, you challenge spirits and spirits will come to you. Right now, we're working on 2 different houses. If the people that are looking at us right now could go into these houses with us, they would come out confirmed believers. There's no 2 ways about it. Because when you see tables moving across the room, you see things exploding on a wall, you see blood coming down a wall. Where's it coming from? How is it happening? Is it Hollywood hype? No, this is the real thing.
Well, maybe we could take a look at some of these
Some
pictures.
of the photographs?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Well, let's see now. What do we got number 1 here? That's, there we go. Well, of course, that's a headline from the News Times. And there were many demons to be blamed in Brookfield slaying. And they were blamed, except that they wouldn't let us bring in our proof. Of course, there's Brookfield Center, which is a quaint little village. And I often said to Lorraine, when we'd come home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd look at the church steeple. I said, this will be the battleground between the devil and God.
It was.
Yes. That's the convent where the first exorcism was held over David. That's the nuns' convent. And during that time, I think it was the Blessed Mother's...
it was the birthday of the Blessed Mother, right, on September the 8th.
And that's when I had to go back to the house and through the use of a ritual called religious provocation, provoked there, and things were moving all over the place. Yeah. Oh, here's Arnie and Debbie. That's a very bad picture of Arnie. He doesn't look anything like that.
He doesn't.
He's a very clean-cut looking kid. And here's, I believe that's Arnie or the father.
That was taken after an all-night session had photographed of him.
You would be fighting with this young boy all night long, and he would have tremendous strength. Now, see, besides this, we look for outward manifestations. Things moving around. Here we are again. I think that's Arnie holding his arms down. That's the father got his arm on his chest.
Yeah, that's Arnie and Carl GLATZEL. Yes, it is.
Again, you see Arnie there. He's fighting and holding down the young boy. This young boy is very docile. You know, when he would not be possessed, he wouldn't say 2 words to you. When he got like that, obscenities, everything came from this young man. And of course, that's Reverend Father Virgilac, who was the chief exorcist in the case in the church. During the exorcism that day in the church, tremendous things happened. The hymn books, which were on the seats, flew up in the air, doors opened and closed in the back of the church. The boy escaped, attacked the exorcist, And here's the...
This is Arnie Johnson's sisters. He was very, very devoted to these girls.
Shrine Lords.
And he had them to his apartment the day of the murder. They were right there at that time. That's
Debbie and one of her brothers again.
Yeah, that's David and Debbie.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that's the convent again.
Yeah.
That's the front view of the convent in Brookfield.
The exorcism, the huge exorcism, which was almost came to a positive climax, was at the church. This is Mr. Glatzel and Mrs. Glatzel.
Judy and Carl.
It's like Grizzly Adams, right? Nice man. And there's the church.
That's
the
church.
Basement where the exorcism was held.
That's where the second exorcism was
We
held.
had brought some people right there where you see those cars parked, and we were talking to them. The man had a recorder on. And we played it back. A deep, gruff voice came over the recording saying, "Why are you here?"
Yes. In fact, what had happened, Krista...
In fact, Krista, we're asking, why are you here?
But anyway, Krista, what had happened was we were talking to this group in the driveway there, the big driveway, and we were describing all the things that had occurred in that possession case. And he had a small recorder, and he had it out like this, and he was recording everything that we were talking about. And he left his girlfriend off later that evening, and he started home. So while he was driving home alone, he thought, I think I'll listen to it. And he got to a certain point, and there were growls, and he couldn't figure out. He thought, something must be a problem with the speed. So he backed it up, and when he put it in reverse and it slowed down, it said, "Why are you here?"
That's a spirit voice, recorded. You know, we've had a lot of TV people and media come with us at haunting sites such as the White Lady, and even with Channel 7, Sally, Jesse Raphael, producers were standing there talking with me when suddenly a ghost veil came right across the whole cemetery. And this was something that everybody's seen. And that's what we like. We like the media to be there when we're investigating a case like this because they are an impartial jury. They have no access to grind. If they see something, they said they've seen it. If they don't see it, they don't see it. That's it. So we always like the media to be there with us. Some people say, oh, the Warrens, they want to be on television. They want books. They want to be in the newspapers and magazines. You're darn right we do. All we can get, because that's the way you get to the public, through the media. You think Jesus Christ would stand on a hill and talk to 200 people if you could go on national television? Of course not.
And I understand you have some more photos of some ghostly apparitions. Maybe we
Psychic photographs, we refer to them as, Krista.
Okay.
Psychic photos. And we'll be glad to explain the circumstances under which these were taken.
Well, the first one here you see was taken in Ipswich, England. And the gentleman that you see at the wheel there, that's his mother-in-law back there who had died. They had gone to the gravesite, he and his wife, who was her daughter. And the wife had one picture left in the camera, so she wanted to use it up. Told the husband to get into the car. She snapped the photo, and there was Mom sitting in the back seat, just like she had for all those Sunday drives for that beautiful English countryside.
Although she had been dead and buried for 2 weeks.
So that's how photographs of ghosts are taken. We have numerous other ones which we'll be showing you, but they're spontaneous. Now, the lady really didn't have to get into a car to go someplace. Just by thinking of being there, she's there.
She's there.
If you close your eyes right now, Krista, and you thought about being home, that's how fast a ghost can be someplace, even thousands of miles away.
Incredible.
Just in thought.
Okay, now, all right, this is an interesting picture taken right over here in Kent, Connecticut. On the old River Road, there was a haunted house. That was, what was the name of that?
Bomas?
Bomas House, that's it. And right where Lorena's standing, that's where it stood. But you notice the ghost is way up, just above her left shoulder there. That's because that's where the first floor was, and the ghost used to roam about. It still moves about on the same level as it did when the house was there. Okay, you got some more, I guess?
Oh, yeah.
I like the psychic pictures best of all because, as I said, the camera's an impartial witness. It only takes what it sees, that's it. Even though at the time we may not see that ghost.
But see, what happens many times is the spirit, like in this case, this monk in England, is attracted to the individual taking pictures. That's how this comes about. Now, they were doing renovations in this building, and he appears to be coming right through the wall in that building. Probably that wall was not there when he lived there and during his period of time.
That was in Bristol, England, taken.
How do you obtain these pictures?
A lot of what they're explaining here, you guys, when I did my whole online course to become a paranormal investigator, they teach you all this stuff. It's nothing extreme or anything crazy like that. It just teaches you the different levels and variations and tiers of different things, what it is all involved in it, and all about the different energy, and it's all based on energy. So like everything they've described at this point is called what it's called a residual haunting, where in a sense, like, say for instance, every day you got up, drank your coffee, went out, picked up your newspaper, came in, sat down and watched the news. Somebody may experience that situation where they kind of catch either a visualization of an apparition or the energy level moving through doing that same thing. It's a residual. It's something that repeats itself again and again and again and again because it did it for so long. When it does, these things don't realize that they're not there anymore per se. If you're a believer in this is how that goes and why. Okay, and that's what that's all about. That happens a lot. Okay, a lot of poltergeist activity is based on residual haunting, based on the energy was okay. Let me give it to you so that it's understood in this level. The energy created for 5 years while that same scenario was happening, getting up, drinking your coffee, stepping out the front door, grabbing your newspaper, and sitting down in the same spot for 5 years every day, 365 days a year for 5 years, creates an enormous amount of energy that once it stops, it's the atmosphere, for lack of better terms, is used to that energy flow. Okay, so when you stop that energy flow, it doesn't stop. That's the whole basis of what I'm telling you and why. I'm not saying that this is how it really happens. It's almost like it's stuck on a loop. Yes, that's the best way to put it. Okay, if you believe this is what it is, and it explains it, and it makes sense, guys, because everything is created from energy. Everything.
I don't know if you want to look up. They call it the stone tape theory,
what is it, hon?
The stone tape theory, where it kind of talks about that, right, and like how residual hauntings.
Yeah, absolutely, I can
occur. Do that. So I don't know if there's like even just a Wikipedia page that might
probably more than likely there's on everything. Yeah, Indrid, 100%. I have no problems with people sharing their experiences when people want to do it. Sure. But yeah, that's what most of what they've explained is residual. And I will bring that up, as Andy said here in a minute, once we get through this interview. She's right. And that's kind of what it is, what it's based off of. And again, understand the basis of life in general is that everything is created upon energy. Within energy, as we are, everything you're looking at and touching and moving around through, and everything is created with energy. So if you remove something from that situation, it's been moving through this situation for so long, that's where it comes from.
It's like muscle memory.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to, Leslie, as soon as I get through this, I promise you. But yeah, that's what a residual haunting is. That's what a lot of poltergeist activity is. Poltergeist activity is said to be like a mischief, something that is a jokester per se.
Yeah, poltergeist is more of a mischievous manifestation that comes along typically when somebody is either going through puberty or going through another very stressful situation in their lives where there's just a lot of energy, and they don't realize that it's
and that's the
manifesting into
thing.
something else.
When the human being's body is changing, going through puberty, it creates a lot of different and more active energy than what it does when they're not. And that's what's drawn to that energy. And in turn, you get what you get. So she's absolutely right. Thank you again for joining me, Miss Andy.
Yeah, again, blame the Benadryl.
Oh, it's okay.
Do you actually take them yourself?
Oh, no. Most of them have been brought to us for research. And many of these places, like the ones in England and like that, we've actually traveled there and researched them out to be sure that they're authentic.
Okay, this is a very famous spirit. Now, the difference between a ghost and an apparition is that if you see a ghost, you don't recognize it, Krista, but if you see an entity that you recognize, then it's an apparition. This one here we recognize because the name was Katie King. Back in 1874, a very famous man by the name of Sir Arthur Crooks, world-famous physicist and scientist, had taken 44 pictures of this spirit in a seance room. She would materialize through a substance called ectoplasm, which would emanate from a physical medium, in this case, Doris Cook, an 18-year-old girl. But she'd walk all around the seance room, talk with the people, touch them, kiss them lightly on the cheek, and they'd talk back to her, and then she would dematerialize. But those 44 pictures that were taken of Katie King to this day have never been proven to be in any way fraudulent. Oh, this is an interesting one. A Civil War soldier, an officer. It looks like different men, but actually it's the same man.
One man.
If you look to the right, you'll see the lapelette on his shoulder there. This was taken in Milford, Connecticut by a young man who was taking a picture actually in his room, had no interest in ghosts, and all of a sudden this man showed up. We believe that a museum, which is not very far from this house, which is a Civil War museum and is haunted, has something to do with this man here. Well, we're waiting for the next ghost to come up.
Next ghost.
He is coming up, isn't he, Krista?
Should be.
Okay.
But,
There you go.
Now,
Haunted house in Massachusetts. The two little children are sitting there. Somebody snaps a Polaroid shot of them. But look at the face in the background of a lady. Deep-set eyes, high cheekbones, blonde bangs, hair. She was one of the ghosts in this house. But notice the milky white substance coming up from the child on the right.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's right here. There's the face there. And he's talking about this haze, this milky white haze. What's up, Clue? So again, there's the face if you can't see it, and then there's the haze coming off of him.
This is the part of the electromagnetic energy which is used by ghosts to manifest themselves as we see the face back there.
So do these ghosts actually have any significance, or they're just kind of normal, everyday people?
They were everyday people, dear, but for one reason or another, realized that tragedy creates the ghost syndrome.
Right.
The older the area, the more chance of tragedy. So they've probably met their death under some violent circumstances, or they just never accepted their death. And in certain instances, they may have, and they just come back in spirit for one reason or another. But there is always a law of attraction. For instance, this building in England, Borley, England, that is Borley Church, which is referred to as the most haunted location in the British Isles. And believe me, when I tell you, that is certainly one of the most haunted areas. We have been there. We've been going there for the past 20 years, sometimes twice a year. And we have witnessed and experienced every type of phenomena that you can imagine. We have received an apport, which is an object that has dematerialized at one point and reappeared at another, an apport of an 1863 Victorian penny. And we have photographed ghost, two different
We have
ghosts.
them here, I think. We've been shown the
okay.
Borley Nun and the Borley Monk, I believe. Should come right up after this. Yeah, there it is.
There's the nun. There's the monk.
Way over to the left there. He's reading a book. He has a hood. He looks like he's bending over the hood, and you can see just his kneecap for the garb, but that's Lorraine way over to the right, and there's another spirit right in front of her. And she is describing this monk, but we can't see the monk. This is 2 o'clock in the morning in that church. And just as she described it is the way the photograph picked up the image of that ghostly monk.
So to me, that's one of the most amazing pictures, because for anyone to be able to photograph something that is in your mind that I'm seeing psychically, and that is how I was seeing that.
Right.
And there's the Borley nun. Now this here was taken again around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning in the church, which was all dark, but you see a lot of lights there. Now there was no light in that church at all, but if you look in the center there, you will see the figure of what looks like a woman or a nun. That came right past us down this darkened church, the aisle of it, went right toward Lorraine and 2 other sensitives. And as I was watching it go past me, it headed right down toward Lorraine. But this is one of the best pictures we've ever taken at Borley Church.
Excellent.
All right, there you've got the Amityville Horror House. Lorraine and I investigated it, and I want to tell you that that was a horror house. There's been stories about it being a hoax. The only hoaxy thing about Amityville, of course, was the news media and the police department, which wanted to claim it was a hoax to get rid of all the vandals that were coming in and destroying all the property. But in the next picture, you'll see one of the pictures that we'd taken of a small ghost-like boy, which was in a bedroom. I think you have that one there. Let me see if you got it.
That is
there it is. Look over to the left now, and you'll see the bioluminescent eyes of a ghostly little boy looking out. Now, of course, this was the one of the rooms where 2 of the young boys were shot to death by their own brother, Ronald DeFeo.
These are all infrared photographs, by the way, of Amityville.
Mm-hmm.
And they've actually made a movie out of that.
Oh my goodness, they've made more than one movie, and there has been numerous books.
Movies, you name it.
Now, do they portray everything realistic?
No, they did not.
Now, here's what everybody looks for in their house when they start to watch TV at night. A ghostly figure coming right across the room. A young couple had just purchased this house. They were watching TV when suddenly this ghost-like figure over to the right there appeared. And we believe that it was a woman who died in the house and was haunting it.
Well, that looks like all we have time for today. Thank you once again for taking out the time to appear with us on this program.
It's been a pleasure being with you.
Oh, thank you. And be sure to...
Okay, so that was the interview with Ed and Lorraine about the GLATZEL case. And there was a couple little extras on there. So Miss Leslie sent me this.
From a still photo? It's not like a screenshot of a video?
I think it was a still photo.
None of the angles add up for it to be a reflection of somebody outside.
That's what I was saying.
So unless there was somebody in the house and they just didn't know it when the picture was taken, like if there was somebody inside processing the scene and everything, I don't really see a way to explain it.
Right.
And like I said too, I mean, you guys, some people don't really believe in people that are, you know, maybe empaths or have, you know, a bit of an extra sense. But I just thought it was strange that I had never seen this, never heard of this picture. And as soon as you brought it up and I saw just a glimpse of it, I don't even follow that. I haven't followed that case well. I could not tell you who's who in the pictures of the victims, but something like in my heart was just like, that's Anna.
There's something else right here in the picture as well. Do you see this? This haze looking stuff here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's I just don't see how it could be a reflection of somebody outside, because it doesn't line up. The angles don't line up for it.
No, I agree. And
it's very clearly a face. Like, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because sometimes there's pictures and you're like, you can see that it could just be an optical illusion and your brain automatically wants to see faces and stuff. But it doesn't seem like that.
I don't know. That back here is a cupboard door. This is in the kitchen because that's where they were looking through. There's the food bag, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. So I don't know what to take it for, guys. Just showing you. Thank you, Leslie. It's definitely a little creepy. All right, now let's get going with the other stuff here.
All right, so do you want me to kind of give a overview or whatever of the case and then play the video that Molly made?
I showed the one that Molly made.
Oh, I already showed it. Okay.
But 1 second here. You can go ahead and give an overview if you'd like to.
All right. Well, it starts in 1980 in Brookfield, Connecticut, with
Sorry, go ahead.
The Glatzel family. David Glatzel at the time. Some things said he was 11. Some say that he was 12. I couldn't really find too much, so we'll just say 12, I guess. So anyway, his older sister is at this time. I don't know if Arnie was just the boyfriend or if they were actually engaged. I believe they were engaged at this time. They were looking to get a house together. So they went to a house that they were going to rent in Newtown, Connecticut. And the whole family went to clean up the house and get it ready for them to move in. And this is when, basically David went off on his own to try to sweep up the bedroom and get that ready. And he said that the house felt weird and that something was off about it. And he ran out of the house and was upset and said that he wanted to go home, and that he just had to leave as soon as possible. And they didn't know it at the time because he didn't want to talk about it then, but he had apparently felt like he was being watched. And then he saw an apparition of some reports say that it looked like an old man. Others say that it looked like a devil or a demon. And it came up behind him and told him beware and that it wanted his soul. And then it shoved him down onto an old bed that was in that room. And that was when he ran out of the house. And basically the family at the time was thinking like, oh, he's just being a kid. He doesn't want to help clean and, whatever. We'll just let him hang out outside until we go home. So that was when it started. Now, that night, they go back home. David goes to bed, and he was asleep, or trying to go to sleep, rather. He couldn't sleep. He was having trouble. And he said that he felt something watching him and that it felt evil. And he decided to get out of bed and look out his bedroom window. And he saw, again, an apparition or a demon, is what he's saying, is that it looked like the devil. And again, it told him to beware and that it wants his soul and that it was coming for him. He did tell his family about it, but they did not believe him at first. They tried to say that he was just tired from the long day. And his mother basically just says, go back to bed and we'll talk about it tomorrow. So again, he tries to go back to bed. Again, he sees or feels this thing watching him. And he can see it out his window. Sorry, I got a bunch of notes. I'm still kind of out of it from having to take medication. So he gets up and he's looking at this figure out his window that's like standing in their yard. And he's got all these, toys, like little toy robots and stuff like that. And they start going off in his room and making all kinds of noise on their own. And it kind of distracts him for a second. He looks over and sees all that, and it stops, and he looks back out in the window, and whatever was out watching him was gone. And at this point, the mother becomes worried for David and does call the priest. It said that they were deeply religious. They were very, very much involved with the Catholic Church. So she calls the priest right away to come bless the house. Although David's father, through most of this, is very skeptical and does not want anything to do with it until things really amp up. But not too long after that first night is when Father Dennis arrives to perform a blessing on the home. And he just does a basic, house blessing like a lot of people get when they move into a new home or something like that. He didn't do an exorcism or anything. It was just a regular blessing. And the activity just amps up after that. So it was like the blessing just pissed off whatever was there. So, this kind of goes on for a little while. They just think that they have a ghost at this point still. They don't really know if it's a demon. But so I believe this was the next night at, of course, 3 a.m. David starts screaming. He was asleep. He wakes up screaming, saying that the demon is coming for him. And the entire house, the whole family experienced this. The house began shaking and rumbling. The lights were flashing on and off. And there were glasses that were smashing. They were like falling off of shelves and smashing all over the house. They had religious statues that were falling and smashing too. And David begins screaming, "He's here, he's here. Don't open the door. He's evil." And then after this experience, Judy, the mother, begins searching for a psychic to help because she had spoke to her neighbor about it, and her neighbor was kind of into like tarot cards and spirituality and all of that. So she talks to her neighbor, and this is when the neighbor was like, "Hey, call the Warrens." So they end up getting a hold of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they decide to come out and basically see if what they get a feel for with them going, because of course Lorraine is a psychic medium, and Ed also brings a doctor friend along to perform just a quick physical on David, just to make sure that it's nothing medical that's going on. So the doctor does do that. He performs both physical and psychological exam on David and determines nothing is wrong with him medically, that he is just a normal kid. Ed then uses provocation to see if the demon can prove that it's there, with this whole, just basically saying, well, if you're here, do this. If you're real, do that. And they start hearing banging all around the house. The table is like vibrating, like somebody's punching it or pounding their fist on it. Again, the lights are all flickering, and there's banging on the floor that is so powerful that they can like feel it. They can all feel the floor shaking, and like somebody's just slamming something on the floor. David tells Ed that the demon is angry because he is telling them about him. And at this time, Lorraine sees what she describes as a large, dark mass standing with David, and she said, "It's evil." And then they tell the family that it's not a ghost that they have at their house, it's a demonic entity. Ed explains that the demon is causing David to act out, and that it is trying to fully take over and possess him. And they tell the family that it's time to contact the church, and tells them to start documenting as much as they can, so that they have enough evidence to bring to the church to request an exorcism. Because churches, you can't just go to a church and say like, "Hey, I think somebody's possessed, we need an exorcism." Like, it has to go through a whole process to be approved. So at first, Arnie was skeptical too of everything that was going on, but the Warrens warn him to not take it lightly and that he needs to protect himself. So they start keeping record of everything, and that's where we get the tape recording, and there were some photographs, and those were in the video that Molly put together. And then David starts to just act weird. He's talking in deep growl, which you hear in the video, and saying things that he wouldn't normally say. He says that the demon talks to him, and he starts having seizure-like episodes where he's having convulsions, and then he becomes violent, and he doesn't remember it afterwards. Like, he kind of falls into a trance and then comes out of it and does not remember it. So they end up the family calls the priest of their church to come and pray over David. And David starts fighting them. So he violently attacks and tries to go after anybody who's trying to pray for him, and trying to help him. And he himself is attacked. There's pictures. I don't think I was able to find a picture of it, but there was a picture in a documentary that was taken where you can see David is being choked by something, and you can't see anything, but you can see him trying to get the hands off of his neck. And it's reported that he would actually have bruises around his neck afterwards too. So I just can't imagine how helpless you would feel as a family member seeing this young boy being attacked to the point where he's got bruises on his neck and there's nothing you can do because you can't see it. It's just crazy. And so the attacks continue to get worse. And again, the father, even though he sees this happening, is trying to say that he thinks David is just having some mental health issues. And he gets kind of pissed off at the family for feeding into it. And he actually begins to kind of distance himself for a bit. And he gets to a point where he just goes to work, and he's just working 2 full-time jobs and comes home and sleeps and then goes back to work. So he's not really having anything to do with the family at this point. He just is trying to ignore it, basically. And then so Judy calls the Warrens, Judy's the mother, again, calls the Warrens to come back, and, you know, basically just says, like, look, this is getting worse. We've called the priests, and they've tried praying for him, and we don't know what else to do. At this point, they come back and determine that David is now under possession. It's no longer just oppression or one of the other. It's not infestation. He is possessed. And they decide to help the family petition the church for an exorcism. So now we have a cardinal from one of the churches in that area shows up to help. And he does authorize a minor exorcism. And this is when they are brought to a church in Brookfield. I think that may be the place that in the interview they said it was a convent.
Yes.
It may have been at that location where they decide to do this exorcism, and it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, this is actually I'm going off of the documentary that I watched, so there may have been other ones before this one, but this is the one that kind of relates to what later happens with Arnie.
Mm-hmm.
So they get to the church, and the priest is telling them that, like, this could be really dangerous. We believe that there's multiple entities possessing him, and they warn that, like, somebody could get seriously hurt. So right away they start praying over him, and as soon as they start in with the Lord's Prayer, David blacks out. And there are interviews with him now, and he still says that, like, after that prayer he doesn't remember anything. Right. So at this point he begins growling and hissing at people and insulting the priests. He's having convulsions. he tries to get up and physically attack the priest, and he had to be held down. And again, remember, he's 11 or 12 years old at this time. He had to be held down by like 4 or 5 grown men because he was getting up and trying to attack people. And one of those men holding him down was Arnie. They placed a blessed crucifix on his forehead, and reportedly everybody could hear it and see it sizzle and burn him. So he was being burnt by having this crucifix.
You good? Andy? Hello?
Did she mute herself? Andy, are you muted?
It's not muted. You there, Andy? Andy. Hello? Andy. What the hell happened? Andy Rose is gone. She might have had a break in her Wi-Fi or something.
No.
Hold on a minute here. Let me try this for her. Try the link in the chat, Andy. Oh, can you hear me, Andy? Oh. Okay. Can you come back in, hun, or no? If not, it's fine. Yeah, if you can't, I have another idea anyway.
Right, see something, say something all night long. It's been one electronic thing after another.
What happens with the moon and stuff? It's no big deal.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. It is full moon, isn't it?
It won't let you reconnect. Okay, hon, no worries. I have an idea anyway. I'll hook you guys up real quick. What do you think so far, Mom? Interesting?
Very interesting.
Good deal. I'm glad. I hope you guys are enjoying it. We're trying to make it a little bit better than what it has been. And I hope to do this regularly like this. I have 2 really good people working on this stuff with me now, for me, doing amazing things. So it'll just keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah, I'm enjoying myself. I love this stuff. It's my jam.
All right. So let's do this to give you guys the story since we can't do it. But in the future, I do think I like to do the narration this way with the things going. So I think it's helpful. Okay, guys, let's get through this.
Devil Made Me Do It is the third installment in the main Conjuring series, which began in 2013. It's the 8th installment in the overall franchise, which includes films like The Nun and Annabelle. As with the first 2 Conjuring films, The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It also claims to be inspired by a true story. The real-life events unfolded in the early 1980s and began with a 12-year-old boy named David Glatzel. David had been helping his sister Debbie and her fiancé Arnie Cheyenne Johnson clean up a rental property they were about to move into. David claimed to have encountered an old man who pushed him and said that he would bring harm to them if they moved into the Connecticut home. After David returned to his mother's home, he said that he continued to see the old man who talked to him. The man now had dark eyes and animal-like features. David had night terrors, and he had obtained unexplained scratches and bruising on his body. It was then that the family brought in a Catholic priest to bless the house, and they also called self-proclaimed demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are portrayed by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga in the films.
By the way, just a quick piece of info. I have always had a huge crush on that Vera Farmiga. Big time. I don't know why. Just so you guys know. Not that
She's a cutie.
I just think she's gorgeous. I don't know what. Ever since I figured it out too. She played Norman Bates's mother in Bates Motel. Ever since then, I don't know.
Lorraine Warren claimed that she saw a black mist materialize next to David, indicating that the demon was present. She also claimed that she saw David being choked by invisible hands and that red marks could be seen on his neck afterward. She said that he growled and hissed and spoke in unrecognizable voices, and that he would recite passages from the Bible and John Milton's Paradise Lost. Ed and Lorraine Warren oversaw 3 exorcisms that David was subjected to. Lorraine Warren claimed that David levitated, ceased breathing, and even foreshadowed the murder that was to come. During one of the exorcisms, David's sister's fiance, Arnie Johnson, egged on one of the demons to leave David's body and possess him instead. A few days later, after David's condition improved, Arnie began to show signs that the demon had taken hold of him. Arnie claimed that the demon took control of his car and forced it into a tree. He claimed that his final lucid encounter with the demon was at the rental home when he was examining an old well which had supposedly housed the demon. He believed that he had truly become possessed when he made eye contact with the demon at the well. By this point, Arnie Johnson and Debbie Glatzel had decided against renting the home, and they had begun renting an apartment near her place of employment in Brookfield, Connecticut. Debbie had been working as a dog groomer for the landlord of the apartment, a man by the name of Alan Bono. On February 16, 1981, Arnie Johnson called in sick to the tree service where he worked. Instead, he met Debbie at the kennel where she worked, and her boss, Alan Bono, took them both to a local bar for lunch. Now, by this point, Arnie Johnson had supposedly been exhibiting strange behavior that was similar to that of Debbie's younger brother, David. At least that's what was claimed at his trial. While at lunch, their landlord and Debbie's boss, Alan Bono, had begun to drink heavily. By the time they returned to the kennel, Alan Bono was intoxicated. He grabbed a hold of Debbie's 9-year-old cousin Mary and refused to let go. Arnie Johnson ordered Bono to release Mary, and when he finally did, the two men continued to argue. Debbie attempted to stand between the two men, and Wanda tried to pull her brother Arnie away. According to what was stated at the trial, Arnie then began to growl like an animal and pull out a 5-inch pocket knife and stab Bono repeatedly. According to Arnie Johnson's lawyer, Bono had suffered 4 to 5 tremendous wounds, mainly to his chest. Bono would die at the hospital several hours later. It had become the first murder in the history of Brookfield, Connecticut. At the trial, Arnie Johnson's lawyer, Martin Minella, attempted to enter a plea of not guilty due to demonic possession. Minella argued that Arnie Johnson had killed Alan Bono while under the devil's spell. It was the first known court case in the United States where the defense had sought to prove innocence based on a claim of demonic possession. As word of the defense spread to the media, the trial had become known as the Devil Made Me Do It case, hence the film's title. The presiding judge in the case, Robert Callahan, promptly rejected the idea of a defense based on demonic possession. Callahan stated that no such defense could ever exist in a court of law due to a lack of evidence. He stated that it would be irrelative and unscientific to allow testimony related to such a defense. Arnie Johnson's lawyer, Martin Minella, had to give up the argument of demonic possession and instead chose to imply that Johnson acted in self-defense. The jury deliberated for 15 hours over the course of 3 days, and on November 24th, 1981, Arnie Cheyenne Johnson was convicted of first-degree manslaughter and was sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. While in prison, Arnie Johnson married Debbie Glatzel. He also received his high school diploma and took a number of college courses. He was a model prisoner and was released on good behavior after serving less than 5 years in prison. So that's the premise of the true story behind The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. But were David Glatzel and Arnie Johnson actually possessed? Obviously, there's a great deal of doubt around this. And as with Ed and Lorraine Warren's other cases, which included the Amityville horror case and the other Conjuring cases, they here too have been accused of manufacturing the case for financial gain. In fact, Lorraine Warren was involved in a 1983 book about the case called The Devil in Connecticut, It's by no means the only time that the Warrens had profited from books about their cases. A 1983 television movie was also made about the possession and the trial. It was called The Demon Murder Case, and it aired on NBC. It starred Kevin Bacon, Andy Griffith, and Cloris Leachman. Further bringing doubt to what's depicted in The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, is the fact that the young boy, David Glatzel, has never publicly confirmed what happened to him. Other family members, including David's brother Carl Glatzel, spoke out against the book when it was republished in 2006. Carl called the book a complete lie, saying that the Warrens concocted a phony story about demons in an attempt to get rich and famous at our expense. Carl said that his younger brother David had been suffering from a mental illness at the time, from which he has since recovered. He said that the entire family was manipulated and exploited by Ed and Lorraine Warren. Carl filed a lawsuit against the book's author, Gerald Brittle, and the Warrens for unspecified financial damages. Brittle claimed that his book is based entirely on fact and that he spent more than 100 hours interviewing the Glatzel family. As for Lorraine Warren, she says that the 6 priests who participated in the exorcisms all agreed that David Glatzel was possessed. Both the author Brittle and Lorraine Warren criticized the lawsuit and questioned Carl Glatzel's motive, with Brittle implying that it was for financial gain. But clearly, financial gain had been a motivating factor for the book's author Gerald Brittle and the Warrens. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Ed and Lorraine Warren are scam artists? Do you think they actually believed that David Glatzel and Arnie Johnson were possessed by demons? I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this case and the other Conjuring movies. If you're interested in learning more about the true stories behind the Conjuring movies, check out our articles over on historyversushollywood.com, which are linked in the description below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe.
All right, that's the short and curly of it, the quick version. This kind of stuff is not my jam, but the Lord just uses me to cast off demonic out of people. It must happen, church. I don't do it. Oh, I understand, Vicky. So, my problem with the allegations that it was faked. I always look at the scientific side to try to debunk anything to make it make sense. Okay? 6 priests were involved in this. They're not going to get involved in anything that they don't think is real, because the church, especially the Catholic Church, they don't play with this stuff, guys. They don't play at all. They don't talk about it. They don't want it out there. They don't want it seen, heard, nothing. For 6 of them to jump into a situation like this, something ain't right. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. There was this guy was looked into by multiple doctors, by the way. There was nothing that was founded. I don't know why people, how can I say it? People run from these types of things, and they will make any excuse for it to not be what it is. And they always have. Again, I am a show me person. You got to prove it to me for me to be able to believe in it. That's just how I am. I've always been that way. But when I see something that does not make sense, which I've seen a few, this story has always interested me because of the fact that the Catholic Church was fully involved in this. They don't get involved. They still don't get involved. The Vatican don't like this kind of stuff. It doesn't want the churches involved. They deny it at every aspect, but there were 6 priests. Not 1. 6, folks. That's a lot. That says a whole lot right there. A mental illness does not make you do these things. A mental illness is not going to make a 12-year-old boy so strong that 4 grown men have to hold him down. That's all documented stuff. The noises that he made, the animalistic sounds, that's not from mental illness. There's something else going on for that, okay? Just saying. Just saying. So it is what it is in that sense. You know what I mean? So that is the story behind David Glatzel. And then, yeah, then based on the scenario, what had happened was that it moved from when it was ousted from David to Arnie, and then that murder occurred. So take it for what it is. You have to make your own decision as to what you feel. Just saying, but it's definitely an interesting story. Let me see here. Give me a second. That's another thing too. How do you just stop having that mental illness?
Right. That's a good point, Clue.
That's been an issue for me too, but I'm going to give you guys another version of this, okay? Again, I want you guys to be able to get certain things, leave it. That other one was a quick version of it, and I didn't think, but we can go through this one real quick too.
No, Leslie, I haven't heard from him yet, and I've been watching my phone. Hi, PJ. How are you, honey?
Who?
Lighting the way home.
Oh, hey, how are you? Good to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
At around 7 p.m. on the 16th of February 1981, police hauled away a despondent Arne Cheyenne Johnson whilst Alan Bono lay on the floor breathing his last. Gouged into Bono's flesh were several wounds, inflicted by a knife that was recovered by police officers on a nearby tree-lined path. To think that only a few hours before, Johnson and Bono had been having drinks together at a nearby cafe and would have called each other friends. The police and prosecutors afterwards concluded that a drunken Johnson and Bono had an altercation over a woman which ended in blood. They stated that Johnson, aged 19, had ended the life of Alan Bono. Johnson, on the other hand, consistently stated that he had no memory of the incident. This, combined with the events leading up to the crime, was claimed by the demonologist and medium Ed and Lorraine Warren to evidence Johnson as having been in the grips of the devil when he held the knife. After the incident, Lorraine Warren told how she knew this case would end in tragedy. It was inevitable, but Arne was the last one we would have ever thought it could happen to. It is true that the actions attributed to Arne Cheyenne Johnson that evening were out of character. He was not known to have been violent previously, and had never been arrested. He worked as a tree surgeon and lived with his girlfriend Debbie Glatzel next to the kennels which Alan Bono managed. Johnson and Bono were known to have seen each other on occasion and socialized together amicably before that tragic night. Why that February night ended in such violence has been debated ever since. According to Johnson's family and the Warrens, the crime had nothing to do with earthly arguments. Instead, it was a byproduct of a struggle with demonic forces, a struggle that had been waging for months. The origin of the incident, it was said, could be found with Debbie Glatzel's younger brother, David, who had supposedly been combating demons for some time with the help of the Warrens and the Catholic Church. In the summer of 1980, David Glatzel started experiencing disturbing visions. It began when his sister and Johnson moved into a new home. During a visit, David is said to have been pushed by unseen hands, whilst alone in the master bedroom of his sister's new house. It was then that he saw an elderly man wearing a torn plaid shirt and blue jeans, who turned to him and said, "Beware." He would later claim to have seen the same man again, except this time his skin was charred and black, and his bare feet looked as though they belonged to a deer. As strange as David's alleged visitations may sound, his mother, Judy, had no doubts that her 12-year-old son was telling the truth, stating that she believed him instantly. When Judy Glatzel was interviewed later for the Washington Post, she described how she had read about the supernatural and had heard the Warrens lecture. When David explained to her what he had seen, she at first thought it was a ghost. For the next 12 days, David became increasingly more disturbed. Judy later described how they were living in hell, as David writhed in agony on his bed, shouted obscenities, screamed and struggled with invisible hands that appeared to be choking him. It is claimed that the boy would even flinch in pain from invisible knife wounds. As well as causing David pain, his condition also brought suffering to his family. He attacked me quite a lot, Judy Glatzel reported to the newspaper. He spit at me, kicked me, squeezed me in the bust. David is said to have even attacked his grandmother with a knife. The family became so terrified of what they had started to refer to as the beast living inside of David that they began sleeping during the day. At night, the whole family would gather to hold David, using their combined strength to keep him on the bed. It was claimed that just before the beast took possession of the boy, his head would lower to his chest and then slowly lift, his features now hideously distorted. With nothing but the whites of his eyes to be seen, David would snarl and laugh monstrously. With the situation unbearable, Judy felt compelled to call the Warrens. As soon as they arrived, the couple claimed they knew they were dealing with multiple demonic forces. According to Lorraine, a self-styled clairvoyant, the pieces of the puzzle just fit very, very early. The Warrens soon contacted the Catholic Church to arrange for a priest to become involved. A Reverend Francis was assigned by the local diocese to investigate for possible diabolical possession. Reverend Nicholas Greco, who was the director of communications for the diocese at the time, later described how it was the first time he had known of the diocese ever assigning anyone for such an investigation. In some ways, it can be said that the diocese considered the case of David Glatzel to be unprecedented. The church clearly considered it to be worthy of their attention. On several occasions, Reverend Francis led other priests in performing deliverances, a lesser form of exorcism for the boy. He also performed a mass in their home. None of this, however, seemed to quell the demons. The Glatzels have been described as a close-knit family, and so it was only a matter of time before Debbie Glatzel and her boyfriend, Arne Cheyenne Johnson, became involved. For one reason or another, they had never moved into their new home and were living with Debbie's parents at the time. Eager to help with David's affliction, Johnson would help pin David down and bring a crucifix to his forehead. It is said that one night, in a fit of exasperation, Johnson dared the alleged demonic forces to come into him instead of his girlfriend's brother. "I'll fight you," he is reported as having said. "Come into me." David's demons are said to have found this amusing, with the boy supposedly having announced, "They're laughing at you." When speaking with reporters afterwards, Lorraine Warren explained how Johnson made a very big error in inciting the demons. She claimed that he never realized there were so many demons in the boy. When asked just how many resided in David, she alleged that they discovered a total of 43 demons. According to an interview the Washington Post did with Debbie Glatzel, Johnson began to change after that night. She reported how he stood staring out of the window blankly before saying, "There he is, the beast, there he is." Johnson then supposedly began growling and baring his teeth. Debbie explained that she had to slap her boyfriend twice in order for him to come to his senses. To her, it was clear what had happened. Johnson was possessed. After the incident, Johnson's behavior is said to have changed. Debbie reported to the newspaper how he would wake up in the night and smash furniture in a rage, and once, whilst in church, he is stated to have yelled obscenities, screaming about how he wanted to leave. On the day of Johnson's fateful crime, Debbie claimed that she heard two horrible voices emanate from his mouth at the same time. It was clear to those involved that as David's demons had not been exorcised formally, tragedy would inevitably befall the household. Lorraine Warren was especially keen to this sense. 4 months before the crime, she called the Brookfield police to warn of the possibility of danger in the Glatzel household. The day after the crime, when Johnson was in custody, it was Lorraine who called the police to inform them that he was possessed. After the incident, the police immediately reported they felt a little uncomfortable with the case. They talked about how most cases do not make you question the existence of demons, exorcists, or spirits, let alone those strong enough to compel a young man to end the life of a friend. Speaking to a local newspaper, an officer on the case called Sergeant John Lucas stated how, as a basic religious precept, it's all possible, but in this case, he was just not sure. By the time of the trial, the police's testimony seemed to contradict their initial feelings as reported in the newspapers. They called it a routine incident and an open and shut case. The word routine was an odd choice of word for the police to use, considering this was the town's first ever recorded homicide. Despite scoffing at claims of there having been demonic interference, Police Chief John Anderson was not above having some supernatural protection. He had a gilded crucifix hanging on the otherwise unadorned wall of his office. When questioned about it, he commented dryly, "I figure, why push your luck?" It was clear, regardless of the words used by the prosecution, that this was not a normal case. Even taking out the alleged supernatural elements, what would compel a young man with no priors to attack and end a good friend's life? Debbie Glatzel met Alan Bono when she started working for him at the kennels. She, him, and Johnson would socialize together frequently. According to Debbie, we all just hit it off just right. They even mused about one day opening a pet shop together. All of this makes a potential motive for the crime difficult to identify. After the case was over, the defense attorney claimed with some justification that, in their pursuit of a conviction, the state showed no motive, no character flaw, and they never exposed some love triangle. The attorney believed that any flaw they supposedly proved was done so solely by innuendo. And it is true, the prosecution was never able to establish a motive. The prosecutor, Walter Flanagan, merely stated that Johnson did what he wanted to do. Why, I don't know, but he did it. Motive is not necessary for a criminal to be convicted. In Johnson's case, all that was stated was that an altercation over a woman had led to the fateful events of the 16th of February. Which woman, however, is unclear. When discussing the incident with the Washington Post, Wanda Johnson, Arne's sister, gave an account of what happened that day. She explained that they met with Bono at a cafe for some food and a few drinks. Bono, she claimed, was doing most of the drinking, something which was his usual behavior whenever he socialized with them. The afternoon continued normally, with Johnson fixing Bono's stereo after the cafe. It was when they went up to Bono's apartment above the kennels that things changed. Bono, Wanda Johnson claimed, became violent and grabbed hold of some of the girls. Johnson was heading out to the car when he heard the commotion. He headed back up to find Bono holding onto his stepsister, Mary. Johnson demanded that he let her go, whilst Wanda restrained him. Johnson was like a stone. Wanda claimed that she simply couldn't budge him. It was then that Johnson supposedly began growling like an animal, after which he mortally assaulted Bono. Johnson's defense attorney later stated that the wounds inflicted would have required superhuman strength. Another version of events, reported on the 9th of November that year, suggested that Johnson ran out of his home with someone else around 6:40 p.m. to attack Bono at his kennels. The reason, it was said, was retaliation after Bono allegedly insulted Johnson's girlfriend, Debbie. This was the sequence of events presented by the prosecution against Johnson. What actually happened that night is thoroughly confusing. In the months after the February incident, in the lead-up to the trial which began in October, several versions of the story were told. According to the prosecution, Johnson's sisters had testified and later recanted in court that Johnson had been beating Debbie before the incident. A testimony given by the ambulance driver stated that he had heard Debbie exclaim to her father that Johnson didn't mean to do it. You know how he gets when he's been drinking. Events really changed, however, when the judge dismissed the use of demonic possession as a valid defense. Johnson's attorney, who had until that point been intending to use demonic possession as an excuse for his client's behavior, was forced to change tactics at the last moment. Now he argued for self-defense. The knife the sisters had previously admitted in newspapers and testimonies as being in Johnson's hands was now in Bono's. Ultimately, it was a hopeless defense, but fought valiantly, and was at least able to lower the maximum penalty that could have been allotted to Johnson. On the 24th of November 1981, Johnson was convicted of first-degree manslaughter and was sentenced to serve 10 to 20 years in prison. According to Gerard Brittle, who afterwards wrote the book about the case, supernatural occurrences were reported to have happened in the courtroom during the trial. One example he gives is how lights routinely flickered in the room. It is also suggested that problems experienced by the jurors, which included a business catching fire, were the result of demonic forces. After the sentence was passed, the defense spoke about there being an appeal. Johnson, however, did not wish to pursue the matter further and risk having to serve more time in prison. "They don't want to hear possession," Johnson is said to have exclaimed. Ultimately, Johnson only served 5 years of his sentence before being released. He and Debbie married whilst he was in jail and lived together after he left prison. He has continuously affirmed that the devil was behind the events of 1981. The case, however, can be said to have continued long after Johnson was released. David Glatzel is recorded as having predicted that the trial would never finish, and in many ways he was correct. The legacy of Arne Cheyenne Johnson's trial is represented by decades worth of books, television shows, and films, all of which have been produced on a subject that no concrete verdict has ever been reached. To say that it was alcohol that compelled Johnson seems reductionist. Blaming demons, on the other hand, can be said to be overly sensational. Aside from the $2,000 paid to the family by the Warrens' book publisher, Johnson and the Glatzels do not seem to have been financially compensated. The demonic possession defense probably caused them much more trouble than it was worth. Indeed, if it was not for Johnson's good behavior in prison, he would not have been let out after 5 years. The full 20-year sentence would have most likely been served instead. There were probably a million better ways to have presented a defense for Johnson. Ultimately, the case is one which has no clear answer. What happened that night and why remains a mystery. Individual belief plays a large part in interpretation. It is almost hopeful to think that such a horrible crime was indeed caused by the devil rather than the much more human hands of a young man just starting out in life, whose biggest problem, according to Debbie Glatzel, was being too good. Thank you for watching, and an extra special thank you to our members, both here on YouTube and what means so.
Excuse me. All right.
Yeah, sorry about that. My spirit guides have informed me that there is a very evil, vicious, screeching witch down in Florida that is putting a hex on us in our stream. So
Gotcha.
Just knocked my internet right out. It's very. They didn't give me a name. They just said that she's just screeching an evil woman. So
familiar.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Let me see something here, guys. Give me a minute.
So yeah, there were 6 priests that were involved, and like you were saying, it takes a lot for the church to actually get involved in an exorcism.
A whole lot.
Like you have to bring in a ton of proof, and there was the cardinal who came in originally and gathered evidence and all of that, but there was also a man who was, and I didn't get a name, but he was an official demonologist for the Catholic Church, who was involved as well. So that it makes you kind of think that like there was something going on. It wasn't as simple as a child acting out, like some people have tried to say.
Absolutely.
So, and then another thing too is when they're describing the wounds that killed Alan, you have to remember this was a small pocket knife. It was maybe a 4 or 5 inch blade that Arnie had, and the main there were multiple stab wounds, but the main fatal one, the knife was plunged into his gut and was ripped all the way up to his heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to do that with a pocket knife.
100%.
So that's kind of crazy. And yeah, it wasn't Alan wasn't just a friend, he was the landlord for their new apartment, because they had also gotten an apartment above the kennels. And so yeah, after David's exorcism is when Arnie, well, immediately after, Lorraine calls the police and just warns them like something's going to happen with Arnie. She reportedly had visions of him stabbing somebody to death, and she wanted to let the police know that she thought he was going to kill somebody soon. And that was just like 4 months before it happened. Or no. Yeah, approximately. I'm just trying to see what I've got for notes
And
that wasn't already discussed in the other video.
Part of the situation that went down is when Ed and Lorraine arrived to become part of this. As you heard in the story, Ed tried to provoke this demon per se when they were trying to deal with the situation. That's recorded here, and it was, this footage hadn't been out for a long time, but I did find it, and I figured that since it goes along with the story, I would show it to you guys as well. It's kind of interesting. As it states here, it says, Ed provokes demon, table and the chairs move. So you can hear it, the recordings of what he says and does, and so on and so forth. It's a very old recording, so bear with it, please. Great job, by the way, Andy. Very, very good job.
I'm trying. I'm also still sleepy from medication and then that damn evil witch.
Yes. You're doing great.
In the name of Jesus Christ and the blood of Christ, I command you to reveal your identity. Give me some sign. Is that you moving something? Give me some sign that you're here. Good. Do you want this family to stay here in this house? I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to reveal your identity. In the name of Jesus Christ and the blood of Christ, I command you to reveal your identity in some way. In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to reveal your identity.
So it is what it is. Have a great night, Alabama. Mom. Alabama, mom. I think I said it right. Alabama, mom. Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, it's Paranormal Friday. Normally we do other things throughout the week, but on Fridays we kind of take a break, decompress from the stuff we do, and enjoy a little paranormal stuff that a lot of people are into. Some people aren't into it, and it's not always like this. We have different variations of stuff that we do. But thank you for joining us, and I hope you had a wonderful experience here, and looking forward to seeing you come back. So there it is, guy. That's the guy. Guys, that is the story behind the David Glatzel and Arnie Johnson situation that they did make into The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It story. It was very interesting. If you have a great night, Carly, thank you for joining us tonight. If you are interested in that kind of stuff. So, to show you real quick, this is during the filming of the movie. Of course, they used who they could use to, well, like with any movie that is based on a true story, they bring people in that were involved in the true life experience. This is David Glatzel.
No, that's Arnie.
Or I mean Arnie Johnson. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. This is the guy that
went on to kill Alan Bono.
Was possessed and went on to kill the other guy. Did 5 years in prison and is now being I can't think of the damn word. It's too late, but I can't think of the word that they call somebody. And they bring them in to help on movies and stuff. What is that word? Princess Lena, good to see you tonight.
Was he an executive producer on it?
No, they just use them as like a contact to give them information and stuff like that to base it when they do the movies and stuff. But there's a word. I can't think of it tonight. That's all. No words.
I haven't seen the movie tonight. Yeah, sorry, I can't talk. I haven't seen the movie yet. But it is available on HBO Max if you have that.
Oh yeah.
If you want to do a watch party or whatever on Discord sometime of the movie. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then there's also the documentary on Netflix called The Devil on Trial.
Yes. Yeah, that's the one. Go ahead.
Yeah, that has interviews with David and the other family members.
Right. Consultant, that's the word. Thank you.
Yes.
Mark here.
Sorry, my brain is just not working tonight.
It's been a long day for me, that's why. Have you heard anything yet, Mom?
Not yet. I texted him.
So, what's going on?
His son's girlfriend. Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
She got bit by what we're assuming is a spider and is running a high fever and not feeling good. And it's right before I jumped up here. And they're in the middle of nowhere. But I figured he would have let me know by now. But this is his first relationship. Like, he just left me to go live with her. So he's probably, he's 19.
Oh, yeah.
So he's probably like wrapped up in her, but he knows I'm worried. So
how far, like, do you know how far like the hospital would be from where they live?
It's about 30 minutes from where they're at.
How far was your dad from them?
About 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
They've had plenty of time to get there, and that's why I'm trying to ease my mind, is that he's with her. And
have you tried to maybe get a hold of your dad to see if he might still be there, or he might know?
No, I hadn't thought about texting Dad. I'm probably fixing to jump down and call him and
sure
if he knows anything, because I figured he would have texted me by now and been like, Mom.
Well, sometimes back in those ERs, you don't get any kind of service because of all the electronics they have back there. Mm-hmm. They have what they call cell killers, because if there's anything that is interfering with their stuff, it shuts it down. That way it doesn't interfere with it, because they have heart monitors and all that other crap back there. So I didn't even
think about that. So that might be what it is too. He may not have signal, and that's why he hadn't.
Exactly. So don't get too worked up about it, honestly, because I know anytime I've been in hospitals, ERs, or any of that, my phone doesn't work ever. So we'll be praying for you though, and keeping everything in our thoughts.
I appreciate you guys. Love you all, and thank you, and thank you for keeping my mind busy.
100%. If you can, when you do hear something, just drop me a message in Discord,
I will.
or my phone, whatever. Let me know everything's okay. Okay.
I will. Thank you guys. I'm gonna jump down.
Have a great
Y'all have a good night.
You too. It'll get better. Thank you very much for joining us. It's always a good time. I wish you could have been in a better mood, but I understand completely. I worry too.
Man, I am so bummed. I did a bunch of research over the last couple of days. I had pages and pages and pages of notes. And then my internet said, nope.
You did great, though. For what you did amazing. I appreciate it, too.
I mean, I've still got more if you want me to talk about it more, but I think the videos you played pretty much covered
it all. Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't really mention that
Go ahead.
Right after the exorcism, Arnie just like kind of suddenly started drinking heavily. Like that wasn't something that was in his character. And they don't know for sure, but they think that he may have been using some other substances as well. And he started having like really major personality changes and behavioral changes. He would fall into trance-like states and just growl and experience hallucinations. And then later on, he wouldn't have any memory of that. And so I saw Clue had said something a while back in here about how like, how does a mental illness just go away? And it's like, there are cases where like something minor could come and go, but if somebody is suffering from a mental illness that's causing them to go into these trance-like states and growl and have hallucinations, that's not the type that is just going to go away.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, they're depressed. No, that would be something major and lifelong that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I've read, what happened was that morning, the morning of the murder, it's February 16th, 1981, Arnie said that he wasn't feeling well, so he actually called out of work and decided to join Debbie at the kennels for the day. And his sister, Wanda, was also there, as well as Debbie's 9-year-old cousin, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so this was that day, and Alan was also their landlord. He's not, just a friend, he was the boss and landlord. He decided to take everybody out to lunch, and he and Arnie both started drinking. And then they got back to the apartment, and Alan continues to drink. And at this point, Debbie apparently said that she could like sense a change of just like a general vibe that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided like, okay, it's time for us to go home. When they tried to leave, Alan apparently became very agitated. He grabbed a hold of the 9-year-old cousin, Mary, and wouldn't let go of her. And that's kind of what started in with Arnie attacking Alan. And he stabbed him several times, but again, this was just a pocket knife, and all of the wounds were described as tremendous wounds, but the main one was from his stomach all the way up into his heart, which, like I said, is pretty hard to do with a pocket knife.
That it is.
And then he fled the scene. And so Arnie was found by the police later on, about 2 miles away. He was arrested at that point. He was covered in blood, and he's just saying that he didn't mean to hurt anyone, but he doesn't remember what happened. He was arrested without any issues. He didn't try to fight the police or anything, and he actually told the police, I need help because I've got a drinking problem. And then he became incoherent and then passed out in the back seat of the cruiser for about 20 minutes. And then he wakes up and has read his rights and charged with first-degree murder.
That's right.
And then, so there was the trial. We kind of heard all about that, how the Warrens wanted to come in and bring in evidence that he was possessed, and the judge was like, no, y'all are crazy. Basically said that it is irrelative and unscientific. So they could not use the defense of demonic possession.
Exactly.
So, yeah, he was sentenced to 10 to 20 years, only had to serve 5. Now, something that's interesting, after he got out of jail, he did go on to marry David's sister, Debbie, and the Warrens went on to write a book, which the videos said, but that whole thing with the Warrens writing a book on it and making money off of it really divided the family.
Right.
Some of the Glatzels actually sued for a violation of their right to privacy as well as libel.
Yep.
They said that the Warrens and the publishers of the book caused intentional infliction of emotional distress. And they all began saying that the whole story was a hoax by the Warrens for monetary gain. But Debbie and Arnie have always said since that it was all very much true. So take that for what you will.
Right. Very interesting. Very interesting. Crazy stuff, guys.
Also, it's kind of crazy to think like that they were very, very intoxicated. And again, that goes back to the wounds. Would somebody who's incredibly drunk be able to, have the precision and everything to attack somebody in that manner with that small of a knife and then be able to do that much damage? You'd think there would be like stumbling and, kind of sloppy.
Agreed.
I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I do agree, though. See something says, how did he get the demon out of him after he committed the murder? That's a good question. Go ahead.
They did say in one of the videos that you played that there was like strange stuff going on around during the trial, like in the courthouse, that they thought maybe could have been paranormal. But it does seem that the main belief is that the demon just wanted to kill. And once it had accomplished its goal, it just left and probably found another person somewhere else in the world to take over.
Moved on to something different.
Yep, it wanted to possess somebody just to take a life, and it's very possible that since it achieved that, it accomplished its goal, it just said, okay, let's go to the next person.
Absolutely.
But we don't really know because we don't hear of a whole lot of cases where possession ends in a murder, where the demon actually does accomplish its goal.
Agree.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Interesting. Thank you. You do a great job at narrating.
Thank you.
For sure. I didn't know if you'd want to join me to do this, but being that you're part of it, Molly's not real comfortable being on a panel, and I understand. So I thought at least one of you guys would be good to have you up here.
Yeah, it's fun.
You did put a lot of work into it, and I very much appreciate it. So
yeah, so Molly and I did decide that we'd like to continue making more original content for Paranormal Fridays and doing, more research rather than just looking up videos and watching cool stuff.
Absolutely. It makes it so much better, I think.
Well, then you don't have to worry about the whole copyright thing and what you're allowed to play and
100%.
Stuff like that. So if we have original content and, just narration, then it might be able to cover more cases that way.
Exactly. No, I agree. And I think it's more along the lines of what I wanted to do too. I just don't have the time to do them both. You know what I mean? And it's so much easier to do it this way, and it makes it better and more authentic in my opinion. And I'm very grateful for it. So
it gives me something to do. I enjoy it.
Right. No, I get it. Yes, I have seen this, Glitter. Great movie. If you like that stuff, of course. See something says, so did all 44 demons leave, and was that house destroyed?
So during the exorcism of David, it seemed like that exorcism actually worked, and it's just that either just one demon or maybe all of them transferred to Arnie. The house was not destroyed, though. No. And I don't know what happened with the house where it originated from, where David was originally attacked. I don't know what would happen with that, because they say that the demon, was living in an old well on the property, but maybe once he was able to possess somebody,
right?
It was able to leave the area. I don't really know.
I think in the movie it had something to do with the bed that was left in the home, and there was something underneath this bed or something about that was where that was living. When David sat on the bed, was kind of jumping around with the water bed itself, is when it attached to him supposedly, and then so on and so forth. So
okay, well, yeah, and of course movies will, embellish things and do their Hollywood thing. According to David, in the interview that he did in the Netflix documentary, he said that he was just in there sweeping up, and that the waterbed itself, like the water part, was not there anymore. It was just that it was a heavy bed frame and the owners had left it.
Right.
But he was basically just trying to sweep up and clean up around the bed so that they could get it out of the room, and that was when he saw the apparition or the demon, whatever, and that it shoved him back onto the bed, and that's when he ran out of the house and was saying that he wanted to leave, and everybody at the time was like, oh, he's just being a 12-year-old boy, and he just doesn't want to help. And
right, and in that aspect, I'd love to talk to the people that lived in that home before them, you know what I mean, if and how, to see if they within themselves had any experiences while they were living there. It would be interesting to know that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that, by the way, guys, is the moon in Utah tonight. Miss Leslie sent me that picture again once it got fully dark. I think it's beautiful. It's a great moon tonight.
It's so pretty. Yeah, what's tonight? The strawberry moon?
Yes.
The strawberry moon, plus it is the solstice.
Something about, I do believe how with the strawberry moon you're supposed to declare your intentions or something like that. So, very interesting.
Oh boy, between that and then the solstice, that witch down in Florida, man, she better watch it.
Yeah.
Gonna end up conjuring some stuff that she didn't mean to.
I think she was conjured herself.
That is what the spirit guides are saying, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Conjured up. Just evil, screeching.
Exactly. So, somewhere, depending on what we do for Fridays from here on out, somewhere around maybe the middle of the week or close to the end, I may be able to put out give you a little preview as to what Fridays are going to be this week or from here on out, since there's a team of them working on it, and maybe get you guys ready for it so you can be prepared, per se. Maybe a little excited if it's something you're interested in. But Paranormal Fridays, they consist of anything paranormal that is, going from UFO to alien, Bigfoot, cryptid,
even like urban legends. And I know Molly's got some really cool stuff on like shapeshifters, glitches in the Matrix, the whole we're all living in a simulation thing.
Yeah,
basically anything weird.
Yeah, anything that is paranormal is what it's going to be about. So it could be about multiple things in one day, one like what we did tonight, one specific thing. And again, if anybody has any ideas, you can send them this direction and we will send them to the crew over there that's working on it, see what they can do with it. If they don't already have something together, but if there's something anybody wants to see or hear specifically, one of these nights I'm going to open up the phone lines along with it and take on anybody's experiences that they may have had and have conversations and or put you on panel for it.
And if anybody wants to send in pictures or videos that they've captured themselves, that'd be really cool. It'd be cool to do a night where we look at, evidence that the audience has caught on their own.
100%. Every bit of it. And it's going to be something that's going to be ongoing because, like I said, especially with the cases we've been dealing with lately, we got to decompress, folks. We have to back away from this. We have to move along sometime throughout this week, and take a break from this. It's too much. It really is.
Tonight's case was kind of a serious one, of course, because it ends with a murder. But the Paranormal Fridays have been a lot of fun. Sometimes we get a little silly in the chat.
Of course.
So it is a nice break from all the the really heart-wrenching stuff that you cover the rest of the week.
100%, it really is. At some point, even if we just sit in here and tell a story, you guys, of a story, you know what I mean, and we tell it to you our way, it may be part of it, just to hear that, like reading from a book or something about a true scenario like this, or a myth, a legend, or an urban legend, or anything like the stuff like where we're staying, you know what I mean? Definitely we're going to be doing stuff like that. As it gets closer to fall and closer to Halloween, I think we're going to, at least I like to, and I know that Molly has no problem with it, as would Andy, knowing her now, kind of embraced Halloween a little bit more and do a little bit more with it closer to Halloween and stuff. The month of October, I have a tendency to embrace the entire month and everything that has to do with Halloween and stuff, because it's my favorite holiday. So we may do more than one a week. We may do a couple different variations of something, so on and so forth. So we shall see.
I could probably give you an entire week's worth of content on just the Bridgewater Triangle. It's something that I'm still researching, but there's so many aspects of it. You go all the way back to, my thought was, there have been so many murders in the area that involved decapitation or somebody's head being smashed in, and
right.
The Lizzie Borden house is right on the edge of the Bridgewater Triangle.
Right.
So is it something that could have influenced her or whoever killed them?
Absolutely.
Were they, being influenced by something to do that? I just found that interesting, that there was kind of a connection there. So yeah, there's the satanic ritualistic murders of the in the Freetown Forest out there, and then there's UFO sightings, aliens, cryptids, ghosts, demons, everything. So
and different variations of stories from that stuff. So
yeah, and so I was thinking of trying to maybe break it down into one topic per episode, whatever, per stream.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So it would be like Bridgewater Triangle, but it would be in several parts, because there's a lot to it.
It'd be a great idea. There's a lot of stuff I'd like to look into too, that are up in the New England states, Massachusetts, Maine, and stuff like that. There's a lot of haunting stuff there that I've seen and heard over the years. So definitely Bigfoot stuff, just different things, all sorts of different things. So we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make something out of it and make you guys want to come back and not be able to wait till next Friday, guys.
I might also towards Halloween, just because I love fall, the weather and the leaves, everything's gorgeous, but this area is very, old and haunted. And I was thinking of going and maybe just filming a little bit of my favorite historic cemeteries.
Absolutely.
And I would walk through, they do ghost tours in the area, but I already kind of know all the houses and the stories, but I could go around to the different houses and kind of tell you guys and get some film of it, get some video.
That would be awesome. Or depending on what you have the ability to do, going live somewhere at a certain time and I could stream it, so on and so forth. Those things would be amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah. I would have to talk with people with the town and everything to see if there's anywhere that I could go at night. That's the only thing.
Sure. No, I get it.
But I mean, if in October, maybe during the day once in a while, do a stream, and I can bring you guys to my favorite cemetery. I can go all over the place around here.
100%. That would be absolutely amazing. Like I said, we can definitely make it make it something, worthwhile for you guys.
Yeah, I think Molly and I both agree that we'd like to make it, kind of a bigger thing and a bigger production and start putting out our own content. Of course, with you on your channel for it.
100%. That would be great.
Turn Paranormal Friday into something bigger.
I'd love to. I really would. I do know who Don Keating is, Glitter. He's actually a very big Bigfoot enthusiast, and yeah, seriously, that would be awesome, Glitter. Seriously, if you could do something like that, hell yeah, that would be amazing. The Godfather of Sasquatch research in Ohio, the Ohio Grassman, all that stuff. That would be amazing.
Ask him what I have to do to officially become a cryptozoologist, because I have been wanting to do that since I was a little kid.
There you go.
Like, as soon as I heard, I mean like, I was probably 7 or 8 years old when I heard the word cryptozoology, and then my older brother was describing what it was. I thought, that's what I want to be.
Sounds great.
I want to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be amazing. And yeah, to learn how to do that kind of stuff, if that's something you're interested in, hell yeah, that would be great. Absolutely. That would be great, Glitter. Let me know if you can, and we'll set it up around that. I'll get Andy and Molly.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
If they know ahead of time, we can set it up that way and set everything up the way it should be. That sounds great. You let me know. Claire says Fall River is
Glitter, that's all.
Yes. By the way, Claire, I love your icon. Molly Ringwald I'm a huge fan of hers from the 80s and all the John Hughes films and stuff. I think that's one of my favorite parts of my life. It was great. That's amazing, Glitter. Yeah, no, I get it. It is 2 a.m. So we're going to have to bring it down, guys. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this in any fashion whatsoever. If you did, I hope you'll want to come back for more and bring some people. If you think anybody's interested in this, please. The more, the better, guys. By the way, I wanted to let you guys know, I see a lot of people probably went to bed because it is so late now. But where are we at here? I wanted to give you guys a heads up. The channel in itself has just hit 9889 subscribers, folks. We are right around the corner from 10,000 subscribers, and I am super, super excited and grateful to all of you for that. More than you guys know, and you guys did this, I didn't. So thank you guys so very much for that. We are really excited about this.
Yeah, that's so cool. Congrats. That's awesome.
Been right along into the 10K realm. The next thing you know, we'll be at 11 and 12, and one of these days we're gonna hit 20,000 subscribers, and I will be.
And then 100, and then 100,000, 500,000, and then we'll just take over the entire world. It'll be great.
I can't even imagine that, but yeah, it'll happen. Though, I never imagined getting to 1,000. Believe that or not, you guys, but you guys did it. Farq, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here as well. I hope you have a wonderful, really night, guys. The rest of your night. I will see you guys tomorrow, roundabout the normal times. I can't give you an exact because I just don't know what's going to bring me through the day. What's going to be brought to me through the day. Tomorrow is Saturday, right? Yes. So it's the weekend. It'll probably be early afternoon, maybe. We'll see. Let's see here. I believe if you get the memberships up by gifting out those free ones every month, it will help you. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it definitely has. We over here sitting. I got our comments read. Oh, I do read your guys' stuff. It's just hard to keep up sometimes.
I'll admit, I'm not really reading them much, but that's just because I'm on my phone. I don't have a computer at the moment. So I have to go back and forth between comments and seeing what's on screen and everything. So yeah.
No, I
Hopefully I'll get a new computer soon.
Sure. Glitter says she has some crazy stories. Linden Island between the lakes in Western Kentucky. Sure thing.
I bet. I hear there's a lot of crazy stuff in Kentucky.
Yes, I have heard the same.
And also West Virginia. West Virginia, a lot too.
Yeah, because West Virginia is an old state. And the Octagon House is one thing that's in Kentucky that's very interesting that we've been through. You have a wonderful rest of your night, Miss Vicky. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you soon.
We should try to plan, give people enough time that if they want to go to save up, because it's not going to be like super cheap, but to plan like a trip where a bunch of us could get together at a haunted hotel or, someplace that's local to one of us to do an investigation. That would be fun.
Definitely be interesting.
And you could stream the whole thing, go live and stream the whole thing. Just bring backup batteries, and that would be fun.
100%. I can agree. For those of you that are in the Discord, just so you know, we are going to be, as it's growing again, we're going to be doing movie nights in there. No problem, Lala. And other different things. I do have, when I get the time, which I'm going to start making again, I have meetings in there with everybody. Shawshank, that would be really cool, Glitter. And I do come into the voice channel and talk and hang out with you guys in there as well. The movie thing is a lot of fun. We've done that a couple times before, and I had to slow down because there was issues with the Discord, but we're good there. So back to that, we will get to soon. So that's going to probably be it for tonight. Andy, thank you again so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. Mom, thank you again. I hope everything's okay with her. Kimber, thank you for falling asleep with us again. Always appreciate it. Always. Everybody else in chat, thank you guys so much for joining us. I appreciate you all so very much. Much love to you all, guys. And I want to say God bless each and every one of you guys, and a good night. And I will see you very soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.